Very nervous to make this video. It's probably one I should have made a long time ago. I've just been too scared. I'm afraid of like what kind of negativity will come from it. Like if people will be mean. So I've held off, but I want to be able to share what's going on in my life with you guys. So I don't even really know how this video is going to go. So I'm just going to do it. So a lot of you know that I'm engaged. You've heard me talk about Denny before. You saw my ring in my bachelor video, and I've gotten a lot of questions about it, and I kind of just haven't addressed it because it's not really an easy thing to address. I haven't known how to go about it, and I still don't. So I'll come out and say it. I laugh when I'm nervous. Denny is an addict, and we were supposed to get married today. I'm going to really try to like sum things up the best that I can. I don't want to provide too much detail, and I don't want to tell Denny's story because that's his side of things, and he can share that with you guys when he gets the chance. Plus, I haven't gone through what he's gone through, so I couldn't even begin to explain his side of things. But I can give you my perspective. So when Denny and I met, I knew a little bit about his past. I knew that he had been in trouble before, and that it was kind of just like, well, I took it as it was like a young and stupid kind of thing, and that's kind of how he played it off as too, which it kind of was in a sense. Regardless of that little tiny blip in his life, he overcame it with like flying colors. He's very successful, just a really all-around good guy, good heart, did so many good things for the community and for kids in the community, and he's just a really good person, and that's what I fell in love with. So we met in college and started dating a few years later, and then we got engaged last April. And I know at least for a lot of girls, you have this fairy tale fantasy of like how everything's going to play out with how you get proposed to and falling in love and all of that stuff. And I had that in my head too. I mean, when we got engaged, wedding planning was so fun for me. It like consumed my life. Right around that time, I had also essentially lost my job. So I had this to look forward to. Like I was closing that chapter of my life and starting this new chapter with Denny, and that was really exciting. We were venue hunting, we were interviewing different photographers and house hunting, and it was really exciting. It's like the stuff that you're supposed to get excited about during this time in your life. So in May, I believe it was May, we had booked our venue. And in June, we got our photographer, and we also had put an offer in on a house. So we had a lot going on. And then July rolls around, and Denny starts acting a little off. I should also mention, okay, so he worked hard. He worked from 5:30 in the morning till 7 o'clock at night, every single day except for Sundays and occasionally Saturdays. But otherwise, he was always at work. He'd keep me updated. We had great communication throughout the day and knew what he was doing. I'd go see him at work. Just like I always knew what was going on. And then in July, we didn't have that same kind of communication. He didn't maintain the same work schedule. It was like everything was a little off. And I'm like, okay, well, it's summer. Maybe it has to do with that. His work was his life. So the fact that he wasn't there was really suspicious. And then I also tried to blame it on stress because he had a lot going on at that time. I mean, more on his plate than any normal 28-year-old should ever have on their plate. But he always handles stress well, so that still didn't make sense to me. So a very long and detailed story short, I find out that Denny is in the midst of a relapse, and it is going downhill fast. And things just kept getting worse. Like his life was snowballing. And he would tell us all that he was fine. He was back on track. And I didn't know that that was like a normal thing for addicts to do. I had no idea. This was completely new territory for me. So I was just trying to believe him and trust what he was telling me. But things just kept getting worse. He lost weight. He stopped going to work completely. Never showed up. Actually refused to go. He never cut his hair, which was really weird because this guy is like pristine about his haircuts, and he wasn't. His hair was a mess. I can laugh about it now, but it wasn't funny at the time. And his personality changed. He was a completely different person. I didn't even recognize him. I would see little glimpses of Denny pop out. So it's like I knew he was in there, And it kind of reminded me of, if you've ever seen The Exorcist, you know Reagan is trapped in that body. She has like the little help me sign and whatever. You know she's in there and you know you can get her out. You just don't know how. I'm not saying Denny was possessed, but that's what it felt like. I knew that the real Denny was in there, but I couldn't do anything about it. So we were desperate. We didn't know what to do, and we got a hold of his old counselor who was helping us with an intervention and seemed to be working for a while. And then, nope. He just got worse and worse. This was a really hard time. It could be a video all in itself, just like dealing with the relapse. But again, to sum it all up as best as I can, it's very traumatizing to see your fiance leading himself down this like deadly, awful rabbit hole. Like, he's putting himself there. You know he needs to stop, and that if he doesn't stop, something really bad will happen, and you just have to hope it gets better, but it might not. So it's really hard. And it all happened so fast that I couldn't even prepare myself. I was learning all about everything and also just really scared seeing this happen to him. So the next day I'm like, I just need to take some time to myself, focus on me and doing things that I enjoy, and just have faith that everything will work out. So my sisters and my mom and I decided to go wedding dress shopping for the first time. And even though it didn't feel the way it's supposed to feel, like the excitement you're supposed to have, it was still fun. It was a lot of fun. I just had this little bug in the back of my head reminding me of everything that was going on. Now I'm about to cut a lot out of the story like I had this whole time. So in a really, just another nutshell, the day after I try on wedding dresses, I find out that Denny got arrested, that he's in jail, and ultimately he has a really harsh sentence. My whole world just crashed to the ground. Everything. 2 days later, we were closing on our house. I had just sent out all of my bridesmaids their proposal gifts. I had no job. I was living with my parents. I was supposed to be moving into this new house, and I just felt like everything was just crumbling. And it didn't feel like, just, a tiny little, this sucks, but we'll get through it. No, it was the end. I couldn't even talk to Denny. I couldn't ask him questions. I couldn't tell him how angry I was. I was so sad and mad, and I felt betrayed, and I was embarrassed, and just could not believe that this was happening to me. I just remember the feeling. It reminded me a little bit of when you go through a breakup, like the first day you guys break up, then you go to sleep and you wake up and you almost forget that the breakup happened. You think you're still together, and then it clicks, and it just this wave of awful emotion takes over you. It was like that, except a lot worse. Hits you like a truck. But anyway, I'll stop talking about my emotions. So avoiding all the little details in between, I am now here, engaged to someone in prison. And it has shaken up my life a lot. It's definitely been the biggest tribulation of my life, for sure. It creates this void between you and your family and your friends. Everybody's worried about you, and they're confused, and they don't know what's going on. And you don't know if they hate your fiance, if they want you to dump him, if they'll never accept him again into the family. There's just so much that goes on in your mind. And then there's all these rumors flying around, inevitably. Nobody really gets your side. They don't understand your relationship. They're not part of it. It's easy to be like, supportive of, you just met this guy, you're dating him, great. But, you were engaged to this guy and now he's in prison. You don't really get the same support. So it's really hard, and you ultimately feel really judged. I remember a few days after his arrest, I was walking around the mall, even driving down the road. I felt like everybody was staring at me. Everybody's eyes were on me, and they just knew what was going on. Nobody actually knows, so it just goes to show that there are always people that are going through their own issues. They've got something going on in their life that we just have no clue about. And that's why I think it's really important to just be nice to people. And I really appreciated the friendly people at that time. And then obviously this situation has taken a big toll on our relationship, me and Denny's. Trust became a big thing we had to work through a lot because I didn't really know what was going on at that time. So I needed some answers there, and I had to learn a lot about him, and now we can't spend time together. I see him a couple times a month. I have to drive 2 hours to see him, and then we have to sit with a table in between us with everybody watching. I have to pay to talk to him on the phone. We're lucky if we get to talk twice a day, and then we have letters. This is not the life I would have chosen for myself. Nobody would choose this life for themselves. But so much good has come from it too. As much as it has negatively affected our relationship, it's also brought us a lot closer. And honestly, closer than we ever could have been without this experience. I really do feel like the bond that we share now, a lot of couples will never have because they haven't gone through something like this. We've both been completely broken down, and we have each other to build ourselves back up. You know, like we're taking pieces of each other to grow into something new. Still, I wouldn't choose to go through this again, but it really is cool what it's done for our relationship. And then I've also just learned to appreciate the little things. And I know it's cliche, everybody says this, but you really do take so many things for granted until it's taken away from you. I can't just call him whenever I have a question. I can't see if he wants to hang out for a little bit. I can't go visit him at work. I can't text him a picture of something funny. I can't hold his hand. He won't come for Christmas. You know, like it's really all those little things you take for granted. Just having somebody around. I'm lucky that I have a really great family to share all these experiences with because Denny's missing out on them. When I was younger, I wanted to be married by 24. I wanted to have my first kid by 27. I wanted to be in a house. I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. You know, like you have this all planned out for when things have to happen. Has to happen at this age. And I've learned to like stop worrying about that. I do sometimes still. I just can't help it. But the way that I pictured my life has now changed. But I'm okay with it. I have a really cool story to tell. And I'm going to look back on my life and think like, wow. You know, it's an exciting story. It's not a boring story, not a cookie cutter story. I mean, I won't be married at 27 or 24, but it's going to happen eventually. And that's just the way that my life goes. And right now, I love that I have time to myself. I can focus on myself. I've really taken advantage of that. I've learned a lot about me. I'm chasing my dreams on my own terms and not worrying about my age and my time limits. Oh, this stupid, I need to take my brain out. So most importantly, I focus my energies on each day, and I don't think about the future all the time, and I just enjoy day-to-day life, and I live in the moment a lot more. And I don't know that I would have done that if I didn't have this experience. And I now know, I think I had an idea before, but now I really know, what things in life are most valuable. So that's it. That's my story. You guys will meet Denny someday, and he's already got this crazy plan for how he's going to contribute to Nicki Lee Bakes. I don't know how that's going to go. But until then, it'll just be me doing what I've been doing this whole time. If you guys made it through this whole video, thank you. I appreciate all of your support so much. You have no idea how much it means to me that you guys watch my goofy little channel. Thank you as always, and that's it. See you guys next time.